Everybody, another day here on the tiny home front. Mostly trying to work on our cabin's foundation and finishing up putting the metal bases for the shop. They're having a hard time with the metal bases because the bolts weren't perfect, and so now that it's all set, getting those bolts to line up is just taking a little longer than expected. They did come in and they were grinding down the concrete to make it nice and smooth so that we put down the metal bases and they should sit flat and flush. We put some butyl sealant that came with the kit that goes on the outer edge of the metal base to help with prevention of water seeping in. On the cabin's foundation, oh man, one complexity after the other, somewhat I feel over-engineered, led to these metal posts, 5 on each side, that had to be almost 6 feet deep into the ground, which then made for a challenge with pouring the base and then putting these metal posts in and then lining those up and putting sonotubes around them and pouring concrete. That just made for a very difficult task overall and making things take way longer than they should have probably. And we have to do all of that times 2. So making for much more work than I wish we had to deal with. So next up on the list of things to do, so they got the piers and the sonotubes in place. They put a little bit of concrete at the base of them to hold them firmly in place before they do the main pour of the sonotubes. They'll use a pump truck for that. For these, they just did a little cement mixer, and just to secure them, it was a bit of a hassle to get all 5 on each side of these lined up and working, but the tops are not flush yet. We'll probably come back and level those and cut them so that all the tops are where they need to be. And then we'll come back and fix the grade to go around the concrete piers so that it's a little more the same grade for each cabin. The 2 cabins won't be the same, but for each cabin individually, like the grade to be somewhat the same. So we have the foundation and slab all done. The cuts have been filled with concrete caulking, and the base plates for the Kwanzaa hut shop are down and in place, all bolted down. Have the butyl sealant along the edges there as well. I am double checking the dimensions for the width just to make sure that everything's accurate. It seemed like it was a little bit off, but I'm hoping and guessing that there is some leeway when you got giant arches like that. If it's a 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch or so off, it should be okay. So we'll put a few arches up as the next step and see how it goes. And if everything is looking good, then we'll just keep at it. That's the next big step, is getting this shop up and the walls in place. We got our arched cabins all unloaded, and for now we placed everything in this area on top of where our shop is going to go, just to have a place to put it temporarily. But I'm gonna have to get these out of the way so that I can build the shop and put that up, and we'll probably move everything to somewhere else nearby so that we can then start putting everything up once the foundation is complete. And once the floor joists are all in place, then we can start to build. Got the extra thick insulation as well to really beef things up and make sure that things are well insulated on these cabins, because we're probably going to need it to keep things warm. came in and removed the top of the sonotubes and just got rid of the top part because everything else will be pretty much below grade. And then we'll have to remove the plastic wrap they put around the post so that we can come back, put our beam on top of these and weld in the braces, and then we'll be good to go putting the floor joist on top of that. So due to the challenges we had with getting the tops of all 10 posts to exactly the same height, we decided that what we'll do is we will go off of the lowest one and then mark and cut the rest to match. So we'll end up having to do that next. Whew. Beat. I was backfilling around the sonotubes so that we can get just enough dirt in there to stand on when we go to weld the I-beam on top of the posts. It was too deep without backfilling it some. This will allow you to stand up and more easily weld rather than backfilling it entirely and then you have to lay on your back to try to weld it. So yeah, that was a bit of work doing that all by hand. So as you can see here, we got it backfilled in enough that you could stand on the dirt that's in there. I feel like I barely made a dent in that big pile of dirt there, but a bunch of that will be used for around the piers on the other cabin. Hey everyone, so I'm here to finish up cutting off the tops of the sonotubes and then backfilling the other cabin enough that we can stand inside the trench and make it much easier to weld. So like and subscribe and follow along as we're getting closer and closer to building up our cabins and shop. Hey everybody, so today we got the beams to go with the cabins delivered today. Had my neighbor help us with his tractor to unload that. Lifesaver considering how heavy these beams are. Each one weighs about 250 pounds. But now we gotta work to put them in place after we get all the posts at the same height and then weld those in place. My brother-in-law will be coming to help out with that. from beam to beam, that is pretty darn level. Couldn't ask for much better. Hey everyone, just a quick update on the progress we've made. A huge shout out to Roy Bonser for welding the beams and all the supports and tabs for all the floor joist. Huge thanks. Couldn't have done it without him, but we were able to get all of that done. As you can see, all of those are done for both cabins now, and so next step is to backfill behind all the sonotubes, and then we'll be getting some floor joist and putting those in place and making some good progress there. As you can see, this thing is built like a tank, super strong, 5 posts to each side with cross bracing. This thing is not going anywhere for the next 100 years. Really satisfied with the outcome. Things came out really level and square. Like, we're all set to keep going. Hey everyone, as you saw, we are all finished with cleaning up the beams bracing and the tabs, and they are now all painted. I didn't necessarily need a gloss black finish, but that's what the local hardware store had. This is really thick Rust-Oleum professional grade paint, so it should last a long time and keep it from rusting. Most of this is going to get covered up by the actual cabin itself, so it's not likely to get wet. But today we were expecting some rain, so we wanted to get it all painted before that.